Welcome, demigods, monsters, and gods alike, to the Olympus Report. The day is finally here, Half-Bloods. Percy Jackson is on Disney+. Here's everything you may have missed in Percy Jackson Episode 1. I accidentally vaporized my pre-algebra teacher. Half-Bloods, Percy Jackson is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and rightly so. This show is absolutely everything we could have wanted and more. The opening narration, which is literally taken from the first pages of The Lightning Thief. Yes, there are changes from the book, but everything they changed I am in full support of, as it either cut down on less important bits of the book or enhanced the emotion of the story. And let me tell you, Episode 1 is an emotional roller coaster. Episode 1 expands on the book by beginning with a young Percy, and I absolutely loved seeing the struggles that Percy faced before the beginning of the book. Although I do kind of wish we got to see Percy accidentally fire a cannon into a school bus. But I think a blackjack cameo and an automaton rhino more than make up for it. We really feel Percy's struggle, which is only enhanced later on in the episode. Percy and Grover are absolutely brilliant in the episode. You can feel their relationship through the screen, and it's definitely a highlight of Episode 1. One of my favorite interactions and Easter eggs is when they are playing the card game Mytho-Magic. As you would know if you've read Book 3, The Titan's Curse, Mytho-Magic is the card game that Nico D'Angelo is obsessed with, and I love that they've added that Easter egg here. When Percy and Grover are having lunch, Percy and Grover swap sandwich ingredients. Grover, being a vegetarian, takes the cheese, and Percy takes Grover's meat. This scene does such a great job of showing, not telling us, how close these two friends are. After Percy accidentally vaporizes his algebra teacher, we find Percy in the principal's office in trouble for pushing Nancy Bobafett into the fountain. Percy swears he didn't touch her, but Grover tells the principal that Percy pushed Nancy. And you can tell by the look on Percy's face that he feels absolutely betrayed by his best friend. We come to find out that Grover only did this to protect Percy, even if Percy didn't know it at the time. But you can absolutely see on Grover's face how devastating it is to betray his friend like this, even though he was doing it to protect him. But besides just the raw emotion in this scene, there's also a very important Easter egg. See this teacher sitting right here? That's the author of Percy Jackson, Riordan. A super small cameo, but I love that they included him in this series. How surreal it must have been to see your creation come to life. Another highlight of Episode 1 is Percy's relationship with Sally, and Walker and Virginia absolutely steal the show. The raw emotion between them is palpable. We get an amazing callback to the book where Sally explains that she named Percy after Perseus, not because he was a hero, but because he survived. This was quickly mentioned in the book, but we never actually saw it, so I love that they added that added scene in the show. When Percy arrives home from Yancey, Smelly Gabe is there to meet him, and he is every bit as horrible as in the book. In the show, they made him jobless instead of owning an electronics store, a change that I really liked as it emphasizes what a lowlife Gabe is. When we first see Sally, she's sitting in the rain, possibly a nod that Sally is just as fond of water as Percy is. Maybe why she gains the attention of a certain god. We also get another Easter egg in the form of blue candy, a special joke that Sally and Percy shared in the book. But if you thought blue candy was the only Easter egg in this scene, you're mistaken. Sally mentions to Gabe that on the way back from Montauk Beach, she'll bring him some sandwiches from a sandwich shop called D'Angelo's. That's right, that's an Easter egg to Nico D'Angelo. He gets not one, but 2 Easter eggs in this episode.
Because on my way home on Sunday, I'm going to stop at D'Angelo's and pick up sandwiches in time for...
When Sally realizes how troubled Percy is, she instantly takes Percy to Montauk Beach. On the way there, Percy falls asleep, and I believe in his dream he's visited by Kronos, as a mysterious figure calls him Little Hero, something that Kronos has done in the book. I love that they're dropping these hints so early on. In the cabin, Percy and Sally have an absolutely gut-wrenching heart-to-heart. You can visibly see how distraught Percy is. And the little moments that mom and son share, like this shoulder tap here, really show how close the pair are. Percy says this:
I try to pay attention, I really try, but then I'm daydreaming.
Possibly hinting at his ADHD. Sally then tries to tell Percy the truth, and Percy doesn't believe her until Grover shows up in all his satyr glory. Percy is still extremely upset with Grover, but is quickly distracted by half a goat in Grover's pants.
Grover, why is there half a goat in your pants? Oh, it's...
The three then rush to camp where we get a lot of expositional dialogue, but it's all done flawlessly and it never dulls. Things like Camp Half-Blood and the Mist are explained. Then the Minotaur shows up. And Sally was already amazing in the books, but here she's even more badass. Earlier on, she absolutely put Gabe in his place. And here she drives the Minotaur into a truck, but ultimately loses control of the car. Unlike the books, Grover does not pass out, which I am 100% okay with because we get an absolutely gut-wrenching moment between Sally and Grover where Sally makes Grover swear to protect Percy. Oh, Grover also kicks out the car window, possibly being a callback to the 2010 movie. Sally tells Percy that she needs to leave him now, and we get an amazing callback to the beginning of the episode, where she tells Percy to hold fast and brave the storm. Sally then does her best to buy Percy and Grover time to escape. In the distance, we see Thalia's pine tree, marking the boundary of Camp Half-Blood. But Percy, of course, isn't going to leave his mom behind. Percy is helpless, though, as Sally is turned into dust. And the emotion on Percy's face, oh my God, Half-Blood. Walker absolutely rips your heart out. Percy then takes out a vibrating riptide and stands toe-to-toe with the Minotaur. A difference from the book, as Percy didn't have riptide in the book. But I love that he does in the show, and it all works out as Percy drops riptide and sees it disappear, hinting at the fact that riptide will always reappear in his pocket. Percy then gets a burst of energy and climbs the Minotaur's back in a terrifying, fast-paced, action-packed sequence. Something that I love that they added in the show. In the book, I was like, how could a 12-year-old rip off the horn of a monster? But in the show, Percy had already slashed the horn with riptide, so it was weakened, allowing him to pull it off easily, something that makes a little bit more sense. Percy stabs the Minotaur and passes out. And the last shot of the show is Chiron welcoming Percy to camp. But the Easter eggs don't stop there. The credits are packed full of them, including the Master Bold, the Furies, an owl, the sacred animal of Athena, the St. Louis Archway, the bus Percy, Annabeth, and Grover take on their quest, Percy in the water, potentially a callback to the cover of the first book, the Minotaur, which morphs into the Chimera, Chiron, Capture the Flag, Medusa, Cerberus, the winged shoes from Luke, Hades, Ares, the diner where Ares buys them a cheeseburger, a Pegasus, a Lotus for the Lotus Hotel and Casino, featuring Hermes, who we know will appear in that scene, Hephaestus outside Waterworld, who set the trap for Percy and Annabeth in the Tunnel of Love, Poseidon, and then Mount Olympus, aka the Empire State Building, surrounded by Athena, Hephaestus, Hermes, Zeus, Hades, and who I believe to be Ares. Demigods, overall, this first episode did an absolutely fantastic job of capturing the feeling of the first couple chapters of the book. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me jump from excitement. The stars of the episode are definitely Walker and Virginia. They have amazing line delivery, but more than that, the emotion you can see in their eyes the whole episode absolutely rips your heart out. Overall, I'm giving episode 1 an 8.5 out of 10. What did you think of the first episode of the Percy Jackson Disney Plus series? Let me know down in the comments below. But until episode 2, I'm signing off. And please, as always, Half-Bloods, stay safe.